As you're aware, Bangladesh has been hit by an agitation over quotas in government jobs. Recently, the government decision to hike the quota for in the civil service for those with background or who belong to families dating back to the 1971 war has kindled widespread anger in a country where unemployment is rife and government jobs are highly valued. I have with me Sri Radha Datta, professor of the Jindal School of International Studies, Jindal Global University. Professor Datta, glad to have you.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Professor Datta, the agitation, in a sense, is not the government's fault, is it? Because it was based on a court decision.
Yes, but there has been problems between the government and the students for long. In fact, it was a decision which was had been taken away in 2018, and as we know in Bangladesh just now, the High Court or any other organs of the government really work under the executive. So it was seen as the
Hmm.
government wanted a particular High Court ruling. As simple as that. We could say that it was a High Court ruling, but a High Court really doesn't have the strength to do something which the government does not want it to do, and it does what the government wants it to do. So it's been interpreted like that by the students.
Mhm. So the government had no idea of the level of anger in the public pertaining to a decision like this. It's nearly 50% reservation.
Yes, and it's a cumulative anger. I mean, it's, I think, the farcical elections, the other issues, the highest level of unemployment, the worst inflation possible, a whole lot of factors went into this, and this was a trigger. And as they call it, the black swan moment, this is really was that. So when this happened, and the fact that you seen the reaction of some of the Awami League leaders, Obaidul Qadir in particular, and Sheikh Hasina calling them Razakar, I think that really was somewhere where it kind of just blew out of proportion. And it's an anger on various levels that it had been accumulating, and I think it just found that trigger and it blew off the fuse. Yeah.
Mhm. Do you get the sense that this movement may have been infiltrated by other groups, maybe Islamists, maybe pro-Pakistan elements?
I don't think so. I think it was a very indigenous, completely impromptu kind of a thing. Bangladesh is known to be, we've seen many impulsive moments like this right from 71 onwards. It's not the first time. The fact that Bangladesh is now a multi party democracy was because of movement by the civil society in 1990, and we've said, over the years seen many more. So I mean, it can be so that many others will now jump in to lend support. That's We've seen that in the past, but it was initially, I think, a completely a genesis was within the students group themselves. And I wouldn't say it was in any external hand. Certainly at the beginning, I mean, we don't know what is happening exactly, but I still think it's a completely indigenous movement, which was a reflection of what the students felt about the particular government.
The decision to call in the army does suggest the government has is losing control.
Absolutely. And the kind of whatever little information that we are able to access, very strong-handed repression of this, and it's really doesn't go down well. It's never done in the past. I am a bit surprised that they use such high-handed measures.
Mhm. Do you see the army acquiring a kind of I mean, do you see a return to army rule, given how if the situation deteriorates?
Bangladesh has never been very tolerant about army rule. I mean, if you recall what we've seen, I mean, there
Yeah.
was this in between interregnum period when 2006 to 2000, 8 December, we saw democratic elections. But I think the army also realized that the civil society doesn't want them to be there on its longish term. But at that particular phase, we've actually seen army address many of the problems that the society was facing, the polity was facing. So I would also look
Mhm.
at it like a stopgap arrangement at all. I mean, just to bring in stability or something like that. But I'm not terribly convinced that the army would want to completely take over and go back to what we've seen in the 1980s. I don't think that's a similar situation we are likely to see just now.
Mhm. You know, the death toll, from what I am given to understand, is over 100 now. What is the way out of this? What are her options right now?
She has to. I mean, the numbers that I've received are 7 a.m. was 138. So we clearly don't have any idea really of the numbers, and many, different figures seems to be surfacing. So what I feel is that, I mean, I'm sure within the student movement also there are many, kind of small leadership emerging somewhere or the other. But I mean, the government and Prime Minister herself has to, you know, address it. I don't think anybody else can. And clearly, the Awami League leaders are not. I mean, I've not seen a single word from any of the ministers. Maybe we don't know what's happening there. I mean, you probably have a better idea. But it's really the Prime Minister who can address it and calm down the nerves. There's nobody else who can do that.
Mhm. What do you
And
think
I mean,
the opposition is doing at this point? I mean, is it just sitting back, or is this a great opportunity to get in and spoil the scene for Sheikh Hasina?
Uh, there is hardly opposition, if you ask me. I mean, I don't know which opposition you're referring to. The parliament opposition,
BNP.
which is basically Awami League. So, yeah, the BNP is, we know, has been really marginal, not been able to, But I would think they would jump in, because who doesn't want to leverage? I mean, this would clearly go in their favor if they leverage it. So I won't be surprised if they do that. But I think the kind of resentment, anger, emotiveness that we see amongst the students, it's a difficult thing for any political party to. So I wouldn't say that BNP would come and give them umbrella cover and things would get sorted out. No. And we've seen that in the past also, when we've seen similar such movements come out, that whenever political parties come to own it, the either the movement, kind of dilutes, or students get frustrated and move away. I wouldn't put it past any opposition to not leverage it, but I would think that students want to possibly, look at a larger way at the polity just now. And also I've always argued for this, that I felt the opposition has also let the society down. The way they behaved during this election and previous, there's a constituency that they expect, I mean, is expected from them, and they're really disappointed with their own constituency. So I'm not really convinced that students are looking forward to this particular opposition coming in and saving them and giving them a new horizon kind of a thing. It's I think the government itself should be the real mover and shaker here, and before anybody else, any other negative elements, as you say, would move
Mhm.
in, leverage them, and destroy this particular thing. Because I think there's a a positive, you know even at, I think nobody wants to see the kind of lives lost, and it's going to be messy. It's not going to be an easy situation. But the only one, again, I would come back and say, it's the Prime Minister herself who can address this, because she's the only one they would possibly be able to say that, okay, we will, if she agrees to whatever terms and conditions or whatever they can. I mean, the dialogue has to first open before any other
Mhm.
conditions and other things and that's, I think, the first thing. And whatever, whether BNP jumps in or any other body organization jumps in, students' expectation from the governor, Prime Minister, would be much higher.
Mhm. Would you agree that it kind of opens the door to extremist groups to also take advantage of the situation, even if the BNP doesn't? The Islamists are quite a
There
force there on the ground, isn't it?
Yes, and there is always a situation which can be, as I said, usurped, leveraged by other elements, and I wouldn't put it past them. And I sincerely hope that doesn't happen, because that's not going to be very good for the government just now, and it's not going to be good for the polity by itself, because we know there are these elements which are there, which exist, and they would want to. But I sincerely hope before that the government would move in and address it, and see how they can bring stability back. And of course, I mean, it's a dialogue and work in progress. It can't be overnight resolved, but I think any such situation does open up to these elements which are not necessarily, which works in favor of the either the government or the civil society or the polity, really. So I would think that it's open, but I keep saying this, that the government is really the one who can be the main decision maker here, and see how some kind of a stability and peace and order is resort back to the situation, that because it really doesn't look too good really on the ground.
Do you see things taking an anti-India turn?
I do, because the youth anger, the youth wrath is bound to be, because there has been a perception. I mean, it is there. in the past too, but ever since 2024 January election, that's been a kind of a confirmed thing with them, that it's really thanks to India's support that this government has been able to position themselves, the way it has. So it's bound to fall on it. And we've seen a lot of these, of course, there may be social media protests about, India, quit India movement and all of that. They hadn't picked up momentum really. But it's again, as I would say, the problem is with the Sheikh Hasina government, and Sheikh Hasina is seen so closely with India that tends to fall on India. So a lot of the good things that India and Bangladesh is doing at the present moment, has done for the last 15, 20 years, ever since she's come back to, as a prime minister in 2008, people tend to ignore because, A, of course, the recent visit, as you know, the Tista water river sharing agreement, nothing really
Yeah.
there was nothing tangible or visible for them to say. And that's always been the most emotive element in the bilateral relation, so far as Bangladesh is
Okay.
concerned. So they feel that Bangladesh has done so much and India has not reciprocated. And on top of that, many other issues have come up in terms of other anyway, those are. But I'm saying the anger is certainly about India. Also, it's not only just Sheikh Hasina, but Sheikh Hasina is now seen as, in the close proximity that it's seen with India. So clearly, I would think that the India element will spring up quite strongly here.
This point you made about Bangladesh has done so much, and the kind of victimhood that it kind of builds. Is this factually correct? Is it what is your or is this emotion?
As I said, like, let's look at 2009 when Sheikh Hasina formally took over, and the first thing she addressed was India's security concerns, right? And India
Yeah.
was able to, do the first 1 billion line of credit, and subsequently, which went up to 7.8 and all of that. Over the years, there's been a lot of work in terms of
Yeah.
infrastructure building, cross-border facilities. All of that has happened. Energy trade, which has been the most tangible thing that Bangladesh has received. Now that we're looking at Chittagong Bongla port, we can use them for, the other countries in South Asia can use them. Bangladesh, we are giving access to in terms of. So a whole lot of economic progress, and I think a partnership development has taken place, which is unprecedented. The kind of support we have in terms of those. And it's not only that India has supported Bangladesh to, help build infrastructure, we've also improved our own border infrastructure to help them. So trade has grown up. It's crossed over 14 billion. We've brought down a lot of non-tariff barriers
Yeah.
and tariff
Yes.
barriers in 2012. So we are now looking at, building a kind of a value chain. We've got Bangladesh, a particular company, investing in Tripura. We're looking closely at how, the Northeast can sync very well in terms of integrated economic cohesion between the two sides. All of that is happening. It's slowly kind of, building into a large, I would say, a growth story in South Asia. But while all that is happening, and a whole lot of new, we have almost gone back to the pre 1965 transport facilities, the railroads, new
Yeah.
railway routes, which, had been broken away in 65. So while people, of course, are benefiting from all of that, the fact that they're angry with the government, the last three elections have been extremely, irregular and farcical. So nobody misses that. And Bangladesh as a polity, as you know,
Yeah.
is very, very political. They're very aware more than anything else. And they often feel a lot that, and Sheikh Hasina, of course, has been, if looking at the way the media has been repressed over the years. Look at the way they're controlled. I mean, there is no free media. There are a lot of other organs, as I said, completely under the shadow of the, political government. So all of that is not missed in Bangladesh, and they always feel that much of that is because India supports Bangladesh. So while there's a lot of positivity, positive outcome, development partnership that's developed, their anger about their particular government falls on India, ignoring, the other things. And as I said, the water, if had there been some positive movement on the water sharing, which was signed in 2010. We talked about, basin wide agreement. If we could move, they've been always saying 54 common rivers. It's not possible to sign a, kind of umbrella. while there has
Yeah.
been so little progress. So they feel that here we give them transit, which is really a difficult thing for Sheikh Hasina to have, given India, and many other things that has been offered by them. And India equally has reciprocated. It's a different matter that because of very stringent conditions, the line of credit that we had given about 7.8, it's barely, not even 2 billion has been utilized. So we are hoping that the new lines of credit which has now been discussed will be easier to manage. But at the same time, as I said, the kind of ground situation where you pointed that out in the very first when you started saying that the government doesn't read the ground well. They live in, let's not forget that yes, the BNP has been a marginal political party. I think they haven't really offered themselves as an alternative. There's no vision that I see that's emerging from them. But at the
Yeah.
same time, there is certainly a strong constituency will continues to support that political dispensation. While Awami League, of course, has its own supporters, but to say that for the last so many, four elections, one political party, I mean that's really not the correct understanding of the ground. And I think they didn't. They probably knew it, but they were. I think they didn't. How will I say, be in denial. They thought they'll be able to, given the fact that every tool machinery has been used by this political party to ensure that whatever they want functions. They probably didn't think that they'll be able to not let, because even if you look at the security forces, very much under control really. And the whatever
Mm.
little I've seen in terms of what they did to address it was, I think, unprecedented again, and extremely uh, much more than what was possibly required. But anyway, that's a different matter altogether. But it didn't. I mean, that clearly shows that they weren't reading the ground, right? Otherwise, why would something like this erupt and they were not able to control it? What we have heard and seen from morning clearly shows the government is not able to, handle it just by normal regular measures and mechanisms. They've had to do far
Would you
stronger. Yeah.
would you say Sheikh Hasina's biggest failing is her inability or unwillingness to ensure that Bangladesh really evolves into a democracy?
Yes. Despite the fact that many good things has been done, especially if I'm looking at partnership with India and other countries and everything, it's true that while Awami League came to power on that plank of, I'm not talking about now, I'm talking about the past.
Yeah.
Right now, it's Bangladesh is anything but, democratic norms have been really thrown out of the window by this particular government, and there's no two ways to say that.
Mhm. So India is at fault for backing her right through, looking at its own interests. That is the prevailing narrative on the ground.
Sorry, I think there was I think
So
missed.
India is faulted for dealing with Sheikh Hasina purely on the basis of its own interest, And Sheikh Hasina, in that sense, is convenient for them because she does what India wants.
Sheikh Hasina and India's relationship is historic, right? I mean, right
Yeah,
from the
true.
time of assassination of. So there are obviously a variety of reasons why India works so closely with Sheikh Hasina Awami League. Let's not forget how difficult our time was when BNP was in power, 2001, 2006.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
subsequently, has BNP reached out to India strongly enough to convey that that situation will not come back again? We've heard some noises here and there, but I'm saying as a political party, there could have been a far more robust engagement with India to express what they thought of the way bilateral relations. So, I mean, wouldn't discount that factor that for us, security concerns have been so deep and, our priority that we do trust Sheikh Hasina and Awami League to address that. But what we've seen in the last three elections was really very very lack of democratic
Hmm.
norms clearly visible on the ground, and each time it's been as if that India has been supporting that. And I think the last election was really the worst to say. While you can still argue, counter argue for the other two elections, but this one was completely something that didn't uh, India can't be how much you want to can't be seen in the positive light. There was obviously very negative ramification of what took place in the January election this time, and that's something
So,
keeps
do
that's
you
something that
see this current agitation taking Hasina's job? Do you see this current agitation taking Hasina's job?
it's
It's
difficult
very
to say here a
speculative.
yes or a no, but I would put my head on the block and say yes. Yeah, I mean, I really want stability, peace on the ground, and I really want that, uh, I mean, as you know, over the years, having worked with Bangladesh, one sees the kind of potential they have, and it's not fair what the youth or the civil society has been subjected to, the kind of very strong-handed measures that this government has used across the board on media, on civil society, on variety of organizations, including the NGO sector. I mean, NGO sector has been one of their prime, core reasons as to why Bangladesh has done so well, despite political instability in the first few decades. And she's clamped down on them when it didn't suit her, when they didn't toe the line that she wanted. So there
Mhm.
has been difficulties on the ground, but uh, yeah, I mean, if you're really making me say something like this, this might be just that particular black swan moment, and Bangladesh
So,
always has these moments.
mhm.
Yes.
Do you think we have worked sufficiently on Sheikh Hasina to tell her to, tone down some of her strongman instincts and do more of political outreach, perhaps even lay the ground for a milder successor, somebody more moderate?
I don't think so. I think what we have done, or what seems visible, and seems that India is supporting some of the things, it's I wouldn't say it's very encouraging. It doesn't, again, as I say, it doesn't show India in a very positive light. No, I don't want to
So
name these
India,
instances. It's known to all of us, but doesn't again it doesn't portray a good positive light about India.
so what's the way forward? What do we do or not do?
For India right now, I think, I mean, for us, I think our, keeping our people safe there is primary concern. As I said, in this very high strung emotive situation, one doesn't know what happens, and I'm sure our Indians, a huge number of Indians are working there in the public sector,
Mm.
in the private sector, and of course, not to mention our government, colleagues there. But at the same time, I think right now we just have to stay away from this, ensure that the government is able to open up channel of communication and kind of convey to the students and the youth that they're not unreasonable. I mean, as I said, they're very well informed group of people in Bangladesh, that what is it's possible to address the problem. It's not something that the government is not capable of. That's most importantly, the government is capable of addressing the issue, and if the political will and the intent is expressed and visible, I'm sure the youth and the these whatever unorganized sector groups which are, and I'm just a little wary that I hope the other sectors who are equally angry and not very supportive of the government don't jump in and make it a further mess. But if they can, at the same time, you probably have better information on the ground as to what's being done. And I sincerely hope that the government is able to, you know, move away from the repressive measures that they probably needed to use at the initial stage, but calm them down and have open up channels of communication, and conversation is always the first way forward.
The 71 war was a long, long time ago, and current generations have no real memory of that, what happened.
Absolutely,
So why does
absolutely.
this keep coming back? This quota thing for 71 veterans. Is it because of Hasina and
I
her
would think
experience?
yes. I've said this many times, written about this, that it's been 50 plus years, and every that thing that happens in the country has a context of the liberation war. I'm not saying.
Yeah.
We know how important and what a critical moment of history that was, but constantly basing every single thing that you're doing on that particular moment of history, and it does another, as you say, even our bilateral relation. I mean, we know that previous generation always has been remembering that, have been very grateful. There are many such instances, but this youth looks at a world differently. And how
Mm.
is that they will relate to the liberation war while the grandfathers or grandparents were looking at it? So clearly, we needed another context to engage
Yeah.
with them, which unfortunately the government hasn't. And as I said, when they are upset with the government, it falls on India. And India also, of course, we've done, the kind of things we did at the bilateral, in terms of the 50 years together, not only of the liberation war, but also our 50 years of bilateral relation, was very appreciated. A lot of the, things that we did together bilaterally. But that's not the only thing, right? And the government is constantly harping on that particular, milestone, which is fine. But don't base all your activities on that. So clearly that put off. It's not really fair. And as I said, while the Bangladesh government about a year and a half ago was one of the fastest growing,
Yeah,
nation in
absolutely. Yeah,
Asia,
yeah.
right now it's really going down the rabbit hole. And again,
Mm.
I forgot to mention this: the kind of corruption, the way the bank has looted the country, and we don't see the government addressing it at all. And I
Mm.
know of people and families who, in the rural area, not I'm talking the urban population, afford the the 2-3 square meals that a Bangladeshi is used to. For the poverty elevation was such a successful program, but they've really, especially in the when I touch base with people who have families in the villages, it's a very very sad. Conditions have been very difficult even for people in the urban areas, leave alone the village, which hasn't been addressed. The corruption has been the worst. Bangladesh is not, one knows about how corrupt that country was, but what we've seen in the last 4-5 years has been very, very, I would say, unprecedented levels again, and nobody has seen the government addressing anything. We've
Mm.
seen a
So
recent
now,
budget which wasn't very welcoming, which wasn't very, didn't appeal to the people. So there's a whole lot of factors which has gone into it. As I said, unemployment has been at the worst at this point of time. So yeah.
so last question. Assuming Sheikh Hasina decides that she's going to step down, and she does step down, and all this talk about perhaps she being succeeded by her sister, you think that will settle things, calm things?
I doubt it though, because her sister is seen as also her family, right? And right now that's the anger, because it's so
Yeah.
directly her. Somebody from Awami League, maybe yes, I would expect, but not from the same family. At least from point of public perception. And again, her sister has zero experience in terms of political, leadership. So I'm not really
Yeah.
sure that's a great alternative at this point of time, especially when the tempers are so frayed. She will be seen as her stooge. I'm sorry to use that word, but really.
So there are really no alternatives here.
They'll have to think of something in terms of coalition creativity. Bangladesh is known for its creativity, so it's not as if they
Mm.
can't. And the moments like this, you actually find leadership emerging. Bangladesh has very able, strong, political leaders. It's not that they don't have. It's just that, as we know, family always takes precedence in South Asia. So
Mm.
there's a tendency to kind of not let the others. So maybe, and Awami with his coalition members, and bring in the opposition here. This is probably a good time to bring in the opposition members, form kind of a interim government of couple of months, whatever. I mean, there are many ways that one could address it. And again, as
Yeah.
I'm saying, that Bangladesh is known to be creative. Bangladesh is extremely capable of doing such things, but it all depends on what the political will is and the intention on the ground. If you keep wanting to hold on to power, irrespective of people's choices, then things are different. But you realize on the ground that things are the way it is, and we need to do what is correct for the state, the nation. Then of course the solutions will be different. It depends on exactly what the leadership, as how should I say, is looking at how things are developing. And it's like almost every minute there's been a kind of a new thing that's emerging.
Yeah,
Yeah.
change there. Srijata Datta, thank you very much for that perspective. It's been wonderful talking to you. And let's see where the agitation goes and what turn it takes. And as you mentioned, there's always the danger of some anti-Indian thing getting off the ground, which would then be very, very dangerous for us. Thank you very much, Professor. Lovely talking to
Thank
you.
you. Fingers crossed things get okay soon. Thank you. Bye bye.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you. That's all we have for you on this broadcast. Do follow us on our YouTube channel.